Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Nostalgia Podcast. I'm your host, Gene Arona, joined as always by...
What's going on, everybody? This is Dave and Gene. Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga, indeed, sir. If you haven't already figured it out, we're going to talk about the Ninja Turtles today. And not just any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles property, but the 1990 film that we all know and love. And before I kick it over to you, Dave, I just want to say this film really makes me want to eat pizza. Funny enough, not Domino's. In our pre-game, you mentioned you'd rather have Pizza Hut. Weirdly enough, even though Domino's so prominently featured in that scene, it just makes me want pizza in general. Not Domino's, not pizza, not any chain, just pizza. And that is significant because it's probably my earliest film-inspired food memory. Nowadays, I always eat when I watch stuff, but that was my earliest memory of wanting to eat because I was watching something specific. So with that said, kick it over to you, Dave. Tell us about the Turtles.
To hit on that, I'm sure pizza saw a rise in sales when the Turtles came out. It had to have.
I mean, I'd have to do the Google, but I'm sure whatever Domino's paid for the right to be the delivery service in that scene, they got that money back 1,000 times.
I mean, how many birthday parties? Turtles. What are you going to serve there?
You're serving pizza, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. There's that old saying that a rising tide raises all ships. I think that movie pretty much increased the profile of every pizza delivery restaurant on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. And this is the 35th anniversary. So it has recently been put back into theaters. We went and watched it, and it's still good.
Holds up, Dave.
It does hold up, and even now, I guess they cleaned it up, and it looked really good. You can see a lot of the good detail, like the turtle suits are always wet looking. I mean, so much detail. Even the sound, I could pick out more sound.
Jim Henson's company did the characters. By the way, in case you didn't know that, the suits that they wore, yeah, it was Jim Henson's company. They put those together. Like they didn't pull any punches when it came to production value and making this look and feel really sort of authentic to the vibe they were going for. And I didn't know this until we went and watched the film, but the creators were, as you told me, on set. Like they were around, they were present. And to me, that's a gorgeous, beautiful thing when you can go grab a subject matter and say, hey, I'm going to translate this into this other media, but I'm going to respect where it came from and respect the creators and let them come along for the ride. I think that's an amazing thing.
Right. You're talking about Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Mm-hmm. They come up with the comics, big Daredevil fans, and it was kind of their nod to Daredevil. They wanted that kind of comic, so they did it with Turtles. So Turtles started out as a comic. They all had the same color band, all red. Still darker than this movie was, but then you had the cartoon that came out in the 80s, which is where we got our introduction to it. And when they made this movie, one of the ideas was to kind of blend it with the cartoon too and do that type of thing. But thankfully, they didn't go with that idea.
I would agree. And I think we agree on this next point, but I'd always wished that of the 3 movies they released back then, if they would have kept all of them in the same vein as that first film, sort of grounded and dirty and as realistic as one can be when it's a film about mutated turtles.
In a sewer,
talking rat, etc. I love that vibe. And I know now as an adult that the original subject matter was very dark. You said it was inspired by Daredevil. Back then, Daredevil was very dark, which makes sense because I'm pretty sure you told me one time that the first episode of the Ninja Turtles comic ended with the Shredder getting decapitated. Am I remembering that correctly?
No, he dies. I don't remember how he dies, but they kill him off in the first comic and he does not come back.
Does not. That's important, folks. Does not come back. He is the main protagonist for however many seasons of the cartoon there was, but did not make it past. Did not make it that far, rather, in the comic books. So, Dave, you mentioned we both went and watched. We both agree it holds up so damn well. so damn well. Are there elements? Call it the first 10 minutes, right? You're sitting down in your seat, you're buckling up, you're ready to take this ride. You haven't taken it in a while. Were there things that jumped out at you? Things that either, gosh, I remember that, I love that, or I don't remember that at all, but I love that.
Not everything that happened in the movie I remember. It's just certain sounds that I could hear more, and it just kind of expands that universe a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the detail in the suits where you could actually see the wetness, I don't remember seeing it like that before.
So whenever we didn't have the fidelity, you know what I mean? We didn't have the video fidelity back then.
No, but I think for this release, because they did just release it on 4K, I think it's the remastered version that they showed.
I believe it.
So it was incredible. And talking about the comics, cartoon, making this movie actually goes through several of the comic stories. Like you have one, the Turtles' origin is told. That's a comic. And it's, when Master Splinter and the team, they defeat the Shredder. That's from that comic. Another one, Me, Myself, and I, that's when Raphael encounters Casey Jones. That was in the movie. What Goes Around Comes Around. That's when the Foot Clan attacks Raphael on the rooftop. That's from that comic. But in the comic, it was Leonardo, not Raphael. Silent Partner, that's the fight that takes place in April's antique shop or whatever, her home. That's in there. True Stories, that's when they hide out at the farm. Then you got Return to New York. That's when they confront the Foot and the Shredder. So all these different comic stories is part of this live action movie.
That speaks volumes to the writing, that they're able to combine all of these elements of these stories in a cohesive manner. Like, that takes some skill. You know why I'm paying a compliment to the film? I want to talk about it as a film just for a second. I'm not saying it deserved to win Academy Award or anything, but it was a well-rounded film. Like, I could draw a small circle and say, okay, these are the Turtles. Come up with the primary characters, right? The 4 Turtles, Shredder, and okay, great. They were all distinct. All 4 of the Turtles were distinct. You understood who they were, their personalities, their motivations, etc. Widen the circle out. Okay, now we have Splinter, we got April, we got Casey Jones, we got Shredder's number 2, whose name I could never remember. Tatsu. Again, everyone is very distinctive, right? They add a different element in a different way to the show. Okay, now let's make that make that circle even bigger. We got the Foot Clan, generic foot soldiers, right? We have April O'Neil's boss. We have April O'Neil's boss's son. We have the world. The city itself was kind of a character all by itself. The news media was kind of a character because we get these news flashes about this crime wave, right? There was a lot of things going on, a lot of layers to this onion, and it did a really good job creating a fun narrative, fun characters, interesting characters. Every scene, I know there's so much to look at. So we watched the remaster, as you said, in theaters. There's so much to look at and appreciate, and the sounds, the sights, the lighting. It's a really well done film, not just as a comic book property. I'm talking like as a film. I showed that movie to my daughter 10 years ago, I'm sure. She's been 5 or 6 at the time. She didn't know anything about these characters and loved the film. I think it's good. It's genuinely good, and not just as a grown geek, but on its own merits.
Well, Gene, you can't fail. You can't go wrong when you have talking turtles and pizza and martial arts.
Fair point.
So this movie almost didn't happen.
Why?
Howard the Duck.
Okay.
It bombed.
Yeah.
They didn't want to put a lot of money into another superhero style movie. So a lot of these companies kept refusing it. Fox picked it up, but then right before they started filming, dropped them. So, who's new in town? New Line Cinema.
This got dropped in New Line Cinema's lap? Are you kidding me?
They decided they thought it'd be a good investment, so they went for it. $13.5 million budget. And it went on to do $135 million in domestic box office and $66 million in the foreign box office.
So we're talking like an 18x return. That's amazing.
201 million out of 13. That's why the second one came out a year later.
Which, by the way, I want to point out, honest to God, Dave, I had no idea those movies were released so close to each other. I could have swore up and down I seen that second one in theaters, but like when I did the Google right before we started recording, and it came out just a year and some change later. Wow. It excited somebody, Dave, for them to fast track the second one the way they did.
Well, yeah, making that kind of money, it was a big hit when it came out. Everybody, Turtlemania. It was Turtlemania. It was totally Turtlemania, dude.
A couple things I did want to ask you about specifically. First off, one question, one comment. Comment, love the practical effects of this movie. I feel like that's a lost art. A lot of times in today's modern Hollywood is the use of practical effects like they did back then. But here's a question I wanted to ask you, Dave. Tell me your thoughts, your feelings about that poster.
Poster?
The poster, the film poster. You got the manhole cover and you got the 4 turtles looking up.
I mean, I know what I'm walking into. You know, it's a turtle movie. So the 4K that's being released, there's another version you can buy where it's exclusive artwork and it's cartoon style. I like that artwork better. But what I liked was the cover that was on the VHS tape.
Okay.
I liked that picture, but probably because I don't remember seeing the poster as a kid. So what about you?
Okay, so complete transparency, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles poster is one of my favorite movie posters of all time. You got the turtles who are poking their head out of a manhole cover. You see just the top halves of their head, the orange, the blue, the purple, the red, and okay, so I'm now looking at Dave's phone. There were multiple posters. I don't remember the one he's showing me. Is that the VHS? Oh, yeah. Okay. But this one, I felt like it was, because it was a fisheye view, and it showed them as looking up at the city from down below, which is a theme that carried throughout the movie with them, Mikey in particular, kind of yearning to be out in the world, to be part of the world. And that's something that's always been consistent with the Turtles. So this was interesting because you're talking about people who live in sewers who end up saving the day for people who don't know anything about them or care to know that they exist. So I always thought it was really cool the way they created that poster and how intentional they were with it. But again, that's just me geeking out over things, little things, which is kind of what I do. You mentioned that they grabbed elements from the cartoon that they dragged into the movie. So
from the comics.
Comics, sorry. Oh, okay. Were you a fan of the humor elements of the movie? I wanted to ask you about this pregame. I just didn't get around to it.
Yeah, turtles wouldn't be eating pizza if there wasn't human elements there.
No, sorry, not human elements. Humor.
Oh, humor. Well, yeah. They're teenagers. They're kids. So there's going to be things that happen. There's going to be mistakes. They're going to be goofballs. You have the serious leader, Leonardo. But, Michelangelo, he's the kid that hasn't matured. He may be a teenager, but he hasn't matured into a teenager yet. He's still a child.
I agree. I think it's completely and utterly necessary because otherwise we're skipping out on the first word in the title. They're teenagers. They're growing up. They're literally coming into a world that is afraid of them. I mean, they're literally, what is it, the second scene where Splinter's given that dialogue about stay in the shadows, practice the art of the ninja. Like, he's been training them their whole lives to not be seen.
Right. Well, that's the art of ninjutsu.
Yeah, makes sense. And the art of don't end up as someone's science experiment in a lab because they want to take you apart and see how you work.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Right, so back to when you were saying Jim Henson did the costumes for him. Mm-hmm. They went with that idea. And I was saying how it was going to be cartoonish. They were originally thinking, the Who Framed Roger Rabbit style, where the turtles would be cartoons interacting with live action humans.
God, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't, maybe if they'd have done the cartoon show version of the Turtles, it probably would have been okay. But this darker version, I think really just nails it.
Yeah, I agree.
And those suits, they are incredible. They couldn't even replicate it in 2 or 3 because they all look different. And I know they tried to show them getting older, with, some spots in the second one, a lot more spots in the third one, but the whole suits are still different.
So I'd have to Google it, but Jim Henson's company for sure did the suits from the first film. They pulled out on either the second one or the third one because of the perceived violence in the movie, which I don't agree with. Like, by today's standards, not violent. Someone in the company had a problem with the fighting, all the fighting in the films, and so they pulled out. It's either after the first film or after the second film. So that's one of the big reasons for the suit change.
Out of all three Turtle movies, I don't think you could get worse than Shredder falling into the back of a garbage truck and Casey Jones hitting the switch to crush it.
I would agree.
It's pretty violent.
It's pretty violent. Here, what else, Dave?
As I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about Robin Williams.
Let's go.
So Judith Hoag, the one who played April O'Neil, she was doing another movie, Cadillac Man. Robin Williams was in that movie too. And they were talking, and she was telling him about if she should do this Turtles movie. She thought it was a horror movie. So she was asking. Robin Williams apparently was a huge fan, and he got all kinds of excited and helped her establishing her character as April in that movie.
That is an amazing factoid, Dave.
She does a pretty good job of April O'Neil.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish she'd have stayed in the second and third one. But yeah, Robin Williams was a fan. He helped her with that. He had a comic book collection of the Turtles.
Love Robin Williams. Now I love him even more. I'd also point out something, too, about April O'Neil. This wasn't your typical damsel in distress. Like, she wasn't there to be saved. She contributed to the film in more ways than one. She was great. And kudos to Robin Williams for helping her kind of get her character set. She did great. She's always been one of my favorite parts of the film, her and Casey Jones. So I'm with you in that. I wish she would have been in the second and third one.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job.
Themes. There were a lot of family themes in this movie. And again, this goes back to my positing that this was a really good film. Ralph and Leo, they argued like brothers, right? Ralph, hot-headed, always going off half-cocked. Leo, he's a little more disciplined. One could argue he's a bit of a kiss-ass, even though that's my favorite Turtles, Leo. They were very different, those two. They argued like brothers, like you would expect. But then they have that tender moment at the house, the country house, where Ralph finally wakes up and Leo's recounting like our last conversation before you went and got really hell beat out of you by the foot. And, it was not a positive conversation. He's starting to apologize. And Ralph looks at him and says, Leo, don't. Like 2 words, he communicated it. We're family. You don't got to say what you're about to say. We're good.
Yeah.
Like, that was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Ralph and Splinter, right? Like I'm going to probably sound like a bit of a jerk for this, but anyone who's ever had an adult male in their life, their father, uncle, whatever, that they're trying to live up to, they're trying to make proud, that was Leo and Splinter. He wanted to make Splinter proud. He wanted Splinter to know, hey, I'm hearing all your teachings and putting them into practice. And so they had a special bond, I thought. But then even outside of the Turtles and Splinter, Raph and Casey, like you could argue that they were somewhere between brothers and really good buddies. Like their scenes they had together were awesome. They were awesome, especially they were making fun of each other. It was golden. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, which turtle was behind the wheel when they were fixing the old truck?
Donatello.
So Donnie and Casey Jones, right? Like Casey, to me, honorary turtle, as far as I'm concerned. Like he's part of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, they should do a Casey Jones origin story.
I'd be okay with that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Hell, I wouldn't even mind Casey Jones and Raph like buddy cop style film. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton of stuff to add going from there, Dave, other than to say that based on when it came out for me in 1990 and where I was age-wise, it really helped cement what would eventually become my first action figure love, which was Ninja Turtles. I had a lot of turtles. I had the van. Of course, I had all four turtles. I had Splinter, I had Shredder. I think I only ever had one foot soldier. I wanted to have multiple. I only ever had one, but it became a lifelong thing that I loved the turtles, and I would probably say it started a little more there for me because I didn't watch the cartoons when they first came out. I watched them after the fact. I wasn't watching them live. It was reruns on TV and that kind of thing. So this film was in a lot of ways my way in for the Turtles, and we went and watched it recently, and it was just as good then as it was the first time. And every other time I've watched it since then, a dozen times probably over the years. Great movie. I'd recommend anyone who hasn't seen it, go see it. And especially if it's still in its theatrical run near you. That is so worth a couple hours of your life. So worth it. Pro tip though, do your research, find out if your local theater serves pizza. I didn't realize until we got to the theater after we had lunch that the theater we were watching it had pizza, or else I probably would have held out and got whatever shitty microwave pizza they were selling there, but that's neither here nor there. Dave, any closing thoughts here?
Well, I didn't know the comics growing up. It was the cartoon, then the movie, and I will forever love everything Turtles. It's part of my life. And as we do with every movie, we do a death count, and we usually do an F-bomb count. There's no F-bombs in here, but there are 3 dams.
Ooh, I only remember 2. Okay, let's make a game out of this. I remember the first one where Raph loses his Psy. I remember after his run-in with Casey Jones. Where's the third one?
Well, what you're missing is the second one. So he says, damn, when he's looking out of the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they're walking back to their lair, he says it again.
Oh. Okay, I do remember that, actually.
And then when he's chasing Casey,
he delivers that damn.
Yeah. And body count we have here, there's 4 main body counts and then multiple because of the foot, which some knocked out. The main death for Foot Soldier was the one that got electrical shock.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you got Hamada Yoshi, which was killed by the Shredder off screen. And then Tang Shin, which was the girl that they were feuding over.
Mm-hmm.
That was also killed by the Shredder off screen. So not much of a death count, but it is directed towards children.
And somehow Shredder survives the back of a garbage truck getting compacted. Should not be possible, but okay.
No, it can happen.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'm not willing to try that out.
It can happen, especially if the truck was empty, something like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But once a turtle, always a turtle. And the Michael Bay movies, that's just doing them dirty.
Agreed.
Don't like that. They need to bring back
that Robo Shredder bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool, but
I couldn't stand that.
I like these kind of costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Real effects.
Yes.
Not CGI. And that's the way Turtles should be. That or cartoon version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with either way.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Dave, that Turtles is essentially a story of 4 brothers and their bond to stick together and fight through anything, and that's heartwarming, that's inspiring, and that's why we love the Turtles. So,
and every character, I can't think of one character I didn't like, even the bad guys.
I would agree.
And Tatsu, all he does is still a good character to me. And I will say, when they first introduced the Shredder, how like the shadow of him is like all the way across the screen.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nod to Darth Vader.
Oh, I could see that. Totally see that. Yeah, I could totally see that. Huh.
Yeah, that was done on purpose. But New Line did a pretty good job of accepting this movie and giving them the money for it. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this movie. And that would be tragic.
Yes, it would. All right.
But excellent childhood memories. And with that, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to make a funny. Say cowabunga.
Cowabunga. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.
Later.
Yep.
Thank you.